Hey guys, it's Eli here. So I'm here today to talk to you about React. We're going to talk about how we can set up an application that looks a lot like this. So having just a quick, really basic web page, get you guys set up with an MPX starter project so you can play around with it, get used to how Markdown works and how the different hooks work. Specifically, we're going to talk about the useEffect and useState hooks. So as we go, keep an eye out for that. And there'll be more video and more content coming up on React for bootcamp graduates. So keep that in mind as well, and keep an eye out, get subscribed, and let's get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about React. Came out of a bootcamp background a few years ago, so this is going to be my first time talking to all of you about what we've got going here. So React is a really fun tool. I think it's a lot of fun. I am going to be teaching primarily functional React, so if you're looking for class-based React, I'd look somewhere else. To start off with, I've got an IDE open here. You can use pretty much any IDE you want. I've got Visual Studio Code going here. It's just what I use for work. It's what I'm used to, but nothing is wrong with using a different IDE. You just may be better suited by a different tutorial, honestly, or just try and pivot over to Visual Studio Code, or just follow it on your own steps. There's nothing that we are doing here that you can't do in a different IDE. It's all very straightforward stuff. So to start with, I've got just a terminal open on my IDE. And I'm going to start by doing a npx create React app. Go ahead and start that. And so this is just going to create the most basic version of a React site for us. So it's going to prompt me, do I want to go ahead and start the React or download the package to create the site? I'll hit yes, and then we can keep going from here. So as I go, I've got the project directory that I need to specify. So here I'm going to say the ethical test app in honor of our channel name, of course, and going to keep going. So yeah, now we have the packages installed. The project is set up. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it. So now I'm back in the project here. So I have the ethical test app open. I can say npm install. Just want to make sure we've got all of our packages installed. Pretty much always a good practice. We are good to go here, but it's always good to check it. And then I'm going to say npm run start, which should start up our web server. So yeah, I'm going to be doing more content like this. React is, I know, a really hot in-demand skill, and I know a lot of boot camps don't cover it. So this is just one of those things that I wanted to try and bring to people. Here on the channel, I'm going to be trying to do some more focus on ethical technology, things that are built ethically, things that are done ethically. Yeah, we've got our development server up and running. So there you go. Built a React app. It's working. So yeah, right here we've got our web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that over to my right side and bring my IDE over here. Get it resized. If you're wondering what my theme is, it is the Dracula theme. It's a very popular open source JavaScript theme, so enjoy. It's awesome. It's very fun. So one thing to note, this does not have TypeScript set up. So I do recommend using TypeScript in React. It's my preferred way of using it. It just gives you a little bit more in the way of guardrails for your own mistakes. So today we're just going to start out with our general React app. So we've got just our basic functional app here, standard markup. So the way that a functional React app works is we have our function with a return statement. So we typically see our JSX in the return statement here. So JSX is just Markdown that can have JavaScript executed inline inside the Markdown. So the JSX code goes inside the return statement. It's returned back from this method, which is our main app functions. That's what builds this app. So we can see the edit source code here. We can say hello to all the bootcamp students out there, and then we'll save. Don't forget our exclamation point. So there we go. So now we can see we have our website. It's built. it's working. We're off to the races here. So we're going to keep moving from there. So I want to talk a little bit about what we can do inside a React app. So there's a couple different hooks that I am going to do a video on hooks more generally, but just to kind of give you an idea of the kind of utility that a hook would bring. So inside my app, in general, I'm not actually going to work inside the main app code, but just for the purpose of demonstration, just to show you what it looks like, we're going to go here. And so up at the top, we're going to go from here. We can come up to the top, and I'm going to say import useEffect from React. Cool. All right, good to go. So then what a useEffect is a useEffect is a hook. So when I have all these different components, right, React is kind of structured into different subgroups, different subcomponents of your UI. That's how we look at different things inside it. And so like for instance, if I wanted to have the header on a web page, that would be a subcomponent. So for different components, when they render on screen, we might want to do some kind of work, execute some kind of call, set up listeners on different things. There's different things we might have to do in there. And so hooks are a lot of how we do that kind of dynamic behavior. That's responsive behavior based on user interaction. In this case, the useEffect hook is used just to generate or called based on some update of some other characteristic. Always fires on mount for the component, and then based on variable changes. I'll show you how that works here. So for the useEffect component, I'm going to say useEffect, and then it takes a callback. So I'm going to give it a callback, and then it also takes an array. So the array is what I'm going to use for any values that I want this to fire on when they change. But then after that, I'll say useEffect, and then from here, I can say console.log double hello boot campers. That's what I'm missing. So what I'm doing right there, just for those that are not familiar with JavaScript libraries, is a useEffect hook is a optional export of this React library. So I can say, because also I'm going to get React from that. And then, yeah, so now when I come over here to the page, I can see double hello boot campers. So that's just happening dynamically on the component load. And so, yeah, that kind of gives us a rough idea of what that looks like. So beyond this point, we're going to kind of start getting into more of the heady stuff. So I'm going to talk about, I think, useState as well. And then past that, we're going to kind of hold off, and I'll leave that to the hooks video. So to talk about useState, it's also a hook that we get from standard React. And it's also a dynamic behavior. And it's kind of just like honestly, the best way to think about it is like a global variable, component level global variable that is updated and it is immutable. You have to update it through a mutation function. So what that means is essentially just we have a pair of a setter and a getter for the variable that take the place of kind of a variable and a updating method. So up here above our useEffect, I'm going to go ahead and declare a variable. And so I will say const let's update, and then actually I'm going to put this inside an array. So these come as an array. So I'll say let's update, and set let's update. And these are, and we're going to say useState and false. So what we essentially have is we have our main value, so the value of our piece of state, and then the updating method for that piece of state. This is declaring the piece of state with the useState callback right here, the hook. And then this is the default value that we're passing into the hook. So then when we're initially declaring this piece of state, it's going to be initially declared to false. So what I'm going to do here is say useEffect, and I want to, whenever the let's update method or the let's update piece of state is updated, I want to do something. So I'm going to say console.log let's update is updated. Amazing. Cool. The world's most exciting web app. From here, we're going to go into this. So essentially, anytime this is updated, which includes the very first time that it's going to run, so we'll see that up at the very top. Now that we have this useEffect that's going right here, we see this let's update variable or piece of state inside that useState hook. And then from there, when we go to our web page, we can now see this let's update is now updated. So we do have some errors here, but that's okay. We're gonna work through those as we go. But yeah, so we see this console.log is now there. After we've got our header, I'm going to put a body div down in here. And inside that, I'm going to put a button. Just a super basic update me button. So yeah, we have our super well styled update me button, and then because this is JSX, I'm just going to say on click and then brackets because I'm about to do some JavaScript. That's how we denote that we're about to do JavaScript inside the markdown. And so I'll say on click, let's update, or we'll say set let's update to be let's update, whatever the inverse of let's update is. So we'll just invert every time we tell it to. What that's going to do is when we reload our page here, clear the console. So we see the first of our let's update is updated. Right now, if I click this again, we'll see let's update is updated again. So we are effectively creating dynamic behavior. That's how quick it is. So we have our useEffect hook, and we have a set state piece inside this. To talk about styles really fast. So if I come in over here to the app.css page, I come in here and then I can start to see where all of my different declarations for different things are. I can see my different values that I can access for my CSS. So suddenly I can change the background there. Yeah, so that's where my CSS styles open. You can start to see how this is going to cascade outwards, but I think for our basics video, that's a pretty good idea of kind of what React brings to the table. So everything functions like this. We can put any component into the markdown just like this. We import it just the way we did these hooks up top, bring it down into the app. We'll talk more about that in a more advanced video down the road, but I just wanted to kind of give everybody a primer. So go ahead, if you're familiar with Markdown and JavaScript, this is kind of all you really need to know to start building a more dynamic web page. So yeah, this is how you can kind of really quickly get set up with an MPX starter project and start to play around in React. This will get you there. It'll get you primed for the next few videos we're going to do. Keep an eye out for the hooks video. That's going to come soon. It is 5 hooks in 5 minutes. Keep an eye out. I already got the script down, so I'm going to be filming that soon. But yeah, that'll be just around the corner, and I hope to see you guys back here soon. Thanks.